The reason for this video is very simple. I wanted to simply discuss a couple of reasons why I believe that the Tesla Model 3 is either going to make or break the company. Now, as a disclaimer, I am a previous Tesla Model S lessee, and on top of that, I have purchased into Tesla stock back in 2012. And what I was really waiting for was the stock to actually hit $300 a share so that I could sell all. Unfortunately, the stock has been in a virtual roller coaster since 2013, and we never actually got that far. So the Model 3, as you already know, is supposed to be the people's electric car. It's supposed to be an EV made by Tesla that lists for $35,000. And that $35,000 is supposed to put it in the hands of more people. Obviously, at $35,000, to buy into the very name of Tesla, you are going to generate massive amounts of demand. And I really feel that Tesla underestimated the fact that they'd have over 300,000 orders in such short time. Now, the interior is extremely sparse. It's a big LCD screen glued to the center panel, and that's it. You don't even get a driver's gauge cluster. All you get is seats and a steering wheel. With options, the price of this car might actually exceed $50,000, as I've already seen them say. But as is, the base model of the car is supposed to be exactly like what you see here. It's supposed to be a big LCD screen, seats, and a steering wheel. Thus far, the people who've actually driven in it and ridden in it have said that there's enough backseat headroom to seat 4 adults comfortably. Now, because of the fact that Tesla has a flat floor, which is all batteries, and doesn't really need a transmission tunnel, that has allowed them to save a lot of space in certain areas of the car. Also, because you don't see any buttons or knobs and just this little touchscreen right here, it has also allowed them to save money on the actual production of the car. That also might mean that it would be easy to move the steering wheel from one side to the other for those countries that have right-hand drive rather than left-hand drive. So all of this is pretty obvious. But I really believe that because of the high demand, the adjusted market value is going to place these cars well out of reach of most people for a very long time. Now, they're saying that production isn't even supposed to begin until next year, which means that if you take a look at the Model X build rates and you see how quickly they're filling their deliveries, it's very possible that anybody who put down $1,000 or so for Model 3 right now won't even see their car for at least 2 years from today. Most buyers won't be getting the $7,500 tax break. As you may know, or you may not know, depending upon who you are, there's a $7,500 tax credit which Tesla basically advertises with the purchase of the cars. Unfortunately, what many people don't realize is that that tax credit, or that tax break, whatever you want to call it, is limited to 200,000 cars. Now, with the Model S and the Model X already, selling so well that they have eaten up the vast majority of that 200,000. The question is whether or not the government will continue that tax break indefinitely in order to make it so that more Model 3 buyers will be able to get in with that $7,500 tax break. Now, you may say, okay, the government may do it, but I have a very simple reason why they probably won't do it. And it's also something that's going to happen over time. Many people don't seem to understand that the highways are paid for mostly with gas taxes and other, federal taxes. Now, gas taxes allow most states to repair their highways. Unfortunately, electric cars get around the gas tax because they don't use gas. So what has been proposed are new taxes on electric cars. And some places are already doing it because of the fact that electric cars becoming more and more ubiquitous are taking away from those taxes. So my thing is, will the government extend the 200,000? Will they make it a large number, like 300 or 400,000, in order to fit their wet dreams about making EV the dominant form of car on the road? I really don't think they're going to do it, especially if they're already losing money on the back end because of the electric cars dodging taxes. So it's very possible that that $7,500 tax credit will be discontinued. Anyone who currently owns a Model S or Model X uses the superchargers because the superchargers are free with the purchase of the Tesla Model S or X, or in this case, the Model 3. Now, imagine that when the Model 3 begins to become ubiquitous and more people are able to buy it, that when you come to these supercharger stalls, that they're not empty. The average supercharger stall station has about 4 stalls. Now, if you are in a rush, imagine that you've paid $140,000 for one of these cars. Well, first of all, they start at $70,000, but imagine you've paid $140,000 for a P90D Ludicrous, and now you come to a stall and you're suddenly forced to wait because there are 4 people already using the stalls in front of you, and all of them have Model 3s. Now, in certain places in this country, that wouldn't even be a problem. But imagine you live in California or you live in some largely populated city, and it's not as simple as just going to the stall and recharging your car, because now everybody has a car similar to yours. These Tesla supercharger stations take at least 30 minutes to recharge these batteries. Now, smaller batteries obviously take less time to recharge, but the Model S P90D Ludicrous takes at least 1 hour to charge. If you have the 60 kilowatt or the 70 kilowatt version, it's going to still take you at least an hour to charge it to full. So the Model 3 is supposed to get 215 miles worth of range. A lot of the fanboys want to argue you down and talk about how much time it takes to charge, despite the fact that they've never actually owned or charged one of these things, unlike me. So my only argument is that the more of these cars that there are on the road, the more stress it's going to put on the supercharger stations. That's just a simple fact. Now, granted, they are building more and more and more superchargers over time, but the simple fact of the matter is that right now, the number of superchargers is limited, and within the next 3 years, it's not expected to grow by that much. The next major problem is the availability of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids from other companies that are already well established and simply larger. GM has their Chevy Volt already on the streets, and it's a slightly larger, spacious car than it was before. They also have the Chevy Bolt, which looks like a small crossover, starts less than $40,000. And now you have the Germans who, after they see what the emission scandal did to Volkswagen, have decided that they're going to make all of their newer cars plug-in hybrids or electric vehicles within the next 10 years. So it's very possible that the German manufacturers will almost completely abandon internal combustion engines within the next 2 cycles of car redesigns. And it makes very good sense because of the fact that Europe taxes them up the ass for emissions, and on top of that, gasoline in those countries is usually $9 or more per gallon. Diesel, as we've seen with Volkswagen, doesn't necessarily work out too well because eventually someone actually realizes that there's no such thing as clean diesel. Everybody in the automotive industry is looking at what the liberals are doing to Volkswagen. Basically now Volkswagen has to issue these anti-cheat devices which plug into your car like Game Genie for Nintendo.